going to bend up one knee. I'm gonna take his foot out this way. So we're doing internal rotation. I'm gonna stabilize at his hips a little bit more. Yeah, so his motion is a lot better in this position, which could also just be because of the really comfy couch.
It's quite comfy.
It is quite comfy. Yeah, you have a lot more motion here, but I bet a lot of it's coming from the couch. Okay, cool. So he has a lot more motion on the couch. So if it was an actual table that wasn't this cushy, then that would make me think that he has more of a motor control problem, since he's in a much lower posture level in prone than keeping his balance in seated. So now we're going to look at hip internal and external rotation, since both of those were limited. And so I'm going to passively show him the motion. So we're looking for this, and then this, just like we did beforehand. So I did it passively. We already saw how much he had actively earlier. So now I'm gonna line up my goniometer with the patella. My stationary arm is in line with the floor, perpendicular to the floor, and my moving arm is in line with his, like the anterior midline of his lower leg. So go ahead and rotate your foot out, please, whenever you're ready. Good, okay, you can relax. So that's like 34 degrees. And now go ahead and go this way. Good. And that's up to like 37 degrees. So now we're gonna go ahead and do this one. Go ahead and rotate out. All right, good. So go ahead and do it one more time for me. Sorry, I bumped it. Okay, go ahead and relax. So that time he had 42 degrees. And go ahead and go in whenever you're ready. Okay, good. So he had 41 on that leg. So his left leg has a little bit more motion than his right leg. We are now going to manual muscle test the erector spinae for thoracolumbar extension. So Bryce has his hands behind his hips. He has a pillow underneath his hips, and I'm gonna stabilize. I'll go to the other side. I'm gonna stabilize back here, and then Bryce, I want you to go ahead and lift your shoulders up off the ground. Try to get your chest off the ground. Good, and I'm palpating at the erector spinae. Okay, and he has his sternum off the ground. You can relax. And so because he can do this motion, he can get his sternum off the ground with his hands behind his back, his MMT gets a score of 5. I'm also going to test his glute med strength. And so I'm going to stabilize at the pelvis. His leg is, his knee's in extension and his foot is in neutral. And so the motion you're gonna do is you're just gonna lift your leg up. That's what we're going for. So now I wanna see how high you can lift it on your own. Good, and good. Okay, you can relax. So I'm palpating superior to the greater trochanter and still stabilizing at the hip. So now I'm gonna lift your leg up a little bit. Now hold it there, and now I'm gonna press. Good, now relax. So we're gonna say for our patient scenario that he could hold against minimum resistance, which would be a grade of 3+. So we're gonna do palpation, and so I am going to feel his erector spinae, feel if there are any large knots Does this hurt?
Nope.
Okay. So in our patient scenario, we would probably feel some tightness in his erector spinae because he's probably guarding a bit, and the left side would probably be worse than the right since his pain is localized to the left side. And so, let's see. So palpating his PSIS is, let's say he has pain on the left, and just palpating around, feel some more increased tone, again due to guarding. Okay, so now I'm going to assess his accessory motion for his T-spine. Let's see. So, I'm going to start at T1 and work our way down. Let me know if any of these are uncomfortable. Doing okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to say that he had some decreased T-spine mobility with the CPAs. We know, just to rule out the stability category, we know that his straight leg raise is not quite good enough to put him in that category. So I'm thinking the manipulation and mobilization category for SI joint dysfunction. So to test that out, we're going to do distraction. So I'm just going to push on your hips. I'm pushing out at a diagonal. Let me know if this changes your symptoms. How'd that feel?
Fine.
That one was supposed to hurt.
Wait, that one we just did.
I know. It's okay. Okay, so next, so we have a positive test there. And now I'm going to bend your knee up, and I'm going to stick my hand under your sacrum, under your tailbone. And I'm using that as a fulcrum, and then I'm going to push down through his femur. Okay. Does that change your symptoms?
Yes, it makes it worse.
Okay. Have you also had any groin pain at all in your left side?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay, cool. So because we have those tests that are positive, we don't need to continue and do like Gainsland's or the other tests that you can do for SI joint dysfunction. I'm thinking SI joint. So next what we can do is test his leg length. So go ahead and bend your knees up and do a bridge. Good. And now go down, and I'm going to straighten out your legs, and we're going to say that his left leg is higher than the other because I'm feeling on the distal tip of his medial malleoli. Since we know that he has a little bit of a leg length discrepancy, we're going to do the muscle energy technique to correct that. So if his left innominate is rotated posteriorly, we're going to have that side do extension to try and bring that back. So I am going to put one arm under, one arm here, and so what I want you to do in a minute is push this leg down and pull this leg up. But you don't need to do it super hard, only at like 20% of max, okay? So go ahead and push with this one, pull with this one. Good. 2, 3, 4. Good, and relax. Good. And now we're going to do that a couple more times. Go ahead and do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. And one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. And relax. Okay. Go ahead and bridge up again. Good. And now relax. And we're going to pull. And his malleoli are now back to equal. Okay, so for Bryce, he would benefit from the general lumbosacral manipulation because his FABQW score is low, so we know he's good there. And then also general just CPAs to get his motion back in that lumbar spine. And then as far as exercises, we already did the lumbosacral or the innominate rotation muscle energy technique. And then since his glute med MMT was not great, we're gonna go through how to do a clamshell. So if you could lay on your side facing that way, please. So gonna bend up your knees just a little bit more. And so the motion you're doing here is you're just lifting your leg up like your legs were a clamshell. So it's not a ton of motion, but it's really important that you don't do too much and then your hips rotate back because that's not working what we need it to. So it's really important that you keep your hips rotated forward. Okay, good. All right, now that's it.